worked out.
How critical is that third-party objective assessment phase that you have to go through in the strategic plan where no one feels like it's in any way biased?
It's in this situation, absolutely critical. You have to have an independent third-party person. You have to. With the Country Club of Lansing especially, but I'm sure it applies to almost any business or anything that is struggling. You're going to have more than one opinion, and the CEO might want to do something different than what the board wants to do, or different than the management team as a whole. Everybody's got different ideas. You need somebody that's a fresh face, that isn't a part of the company, has nothing to gain, to come in, because people will rally around that. People rallied around you because they understood that you had nothing to gain here. You have no agenda. So it took that issue off the table. People are often skeptical when one person says, what they want to do. That are they doing this for their own best interests? Are they doing it for, what's their motivation, or is it just for the betterment of the entity?
Right. Do you think in a lot of membership-based organizations like the Country Club of Lansing that there is a tendency to get confused in individual agendas or individual biases that that individual members have, rather than necessarily the membership looking out for what's in the best interest of the organization?
Well, certainly. I mean, it can be perceived that way, and it works out to be true. I don't know if people believe that when they want to do something for the club, if they believe it's what they want to do, but it's not necessarily in the best interest. I think they all believe it's in the best interest, but it's something completely different than what somebody else thinks is in the best interest. So it's hard to bring them together,
right?
Because they have different viewpoints. They've been, they're different kinds of members. They're involved in different activities, and they're never going to see eye to eye. And they may both be right, but you can only choose one path. And so that's where that's critical.
And then the assessment phase that we did with the Country Club of Lansing, you allowed us, or the membership allowed us, to be able to interview a large number of your members, so
right.
that we were then able to get a trend of what the majority of the membership wanted, which is obviously where you have to find that best interest and where you start to find that more unified path.
Sure.
Once we got done with that assessment phase, we moved into more of the facilitation of the actual strategic planning process, which was working with the committee and working with the differing thoughts that the different committee members had. Can you kind of describe the process of starting with blank pieces of paper, blank sheets of paper up on the wall, and how we were able to funnel all of those blank sheets of paper into our final draft?
Well, I remember that first meeting and the skepticism in the room among the members of that committee. Some of them really in disagreement with where they thought the club was and where they thought the club was going, because they were miscommunicated to, or they misunderstood. And we did start with those blank pieces of paper, and we broke into groups, and we put down our thoughts, and you told us what to do each step of the way. You directed us, and you jump to the end, and we're all best friends and in full agreement. And then there's a lot that went into those. I mean, we met every week for, I don't know how long. It was months, and it was hundreds and hundreds of hours that ultimately went into this. But I think that, and that's an important point. I mean, whoever you're working with has to be committed to the process to achieve the results. They need somebody like MB Strategies to guide them, but they also have to be committed. It takes both. And the group we had was committed, and with your leadership, it was great to go through the process.
How important was it for the committee to feel like they authored the final draft rather than to hear a presentation from somebody on what they should be doing?
That is a great point about MB Strategies. Part of the process, my experience working with you, is that I don't ever remember you telling us or telling anybody what it should be. You might want to blank that part out.
Okay. Check
Let
your,
me just-
check
let me
your
put this
phones
on
at the
my
door.
It's Jim Heil.
You can see the back of your head.
Okay, so going back,
Yeah, just go back.
Great working with. It was tremendous working with. What was the question? Let's start.
Go back to the whole question. How important was it for the members of the strategic planning committee to feel like they authored the final draft rather than somebody coming in and telling them what they should do?
That was critical, and it was a great learning experience for me going through this process with you, because although you led us throughout this process that lasted maybe a year, and guided us into where we should go, I don't remember a time where you told us what we should do even once. But somehow it all just came together through the process itself. It was going through that process and following the process in the order that you determined it would be at the beginning. And it was step 1, and it was step 2, and it was step 3. And by the end, I think it all came together with what you had envisioned probably, but yet it wasn't your stamp on it, it was everybody else's. And they all felt like they put it together, and they did. They absolutely did. But it took leadership from you to get us there.